All right, folks, we're back. It's the last round of the day. 16 rounds. I'm feeling the burn. I'm sure the players are too. Evans Clinchy, my co-commentator, how are you feeling heading into round 16?
Feeling good. Let's get after it. Let's go. Fired up.
This is going to be a good matchup here. Two players with arguably the most expansive word knowledge in the field. No slight to players like Austin Shin, Conrad Bassett-Bouchard, who know a ton of words. But these guys are on a crazy level when it comes to knowing the dictionary far beyond any human limits that you might imagine. So let's see if they get a chance to flex those muscles here. Evan going first, and I don't think he's going to get a chance to do that with this opening rack, Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're looking at VUG or something. VUG, Gov, or Exchange.
Drug, DUV.
Yeah, so that vaunted word knowledge will not be on display here. I don't know. I would either Gov or Exchange. I wouldn't play VUG without a hook to it, but he's going to go ahead. Evan is going to go ahead and play Gov pretty quickly. I think this is fine. I think it's 14 points, and Rudd is not so bad. I'm all right with this. So,
yep, seems fine.
Would you ever exchange there? Or I think Gov is also, I don't know.
I think Gov is fine, and the leave of DDRU is like bad but not horrendous. I would take the 14 points.
Yeah, I agree. That was my gut instinct. So over to Dave now, and he has a pretty good looking set of tiles. The nice thing for Dave here is that he has an S, and Evan actually drew very well given his RUDD leave. He drew EIT, which kind of balances the rack nicely. But Dave can just play Fog underneath Gov and feel really good about his chances of hitting a bingo pluralizing Gov on a future turn.
Looks like Dave has arranged Fog sale on his rack.
Well, you got to buy it somewhere.
Just selling us a bunch of hot air.
Nice. With the gasometer, Dave,
don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. the wounds, they still hurt 4 years later. Okay.
Yeah, that was an incredible play by Dave Wiegand. We mentioned it in the chat earlier with Conrad having an opportunity to play Dasimeter. But Dave really did play a word like that in pretty amazing fashion. And I'm sorry, Evans, if that is still too soon.
Yeah, that was the final game of the Crescent City Cup for all the marbles in round 20. And it was a pretty tight, closed board. And I thought I was kind of keeping things close. I kind of blocked off the triple by making ET, blocking off all the eights. And then he just plays gasometer through the E and the T for 131, and I'm dead. Yeah. It was awful, awful. Just, you know. $2,000 or whatever, just lit on fire in one go. Just
floating away. Yeah, unfortunately. But that's the Dave Wiegand experience, is that he can come up with those wins that pretty much nobody else can due to his word knowledge. Evan's one of those players. He has those abilities himself, but again, it seems like he's probably going to be playing something simple here like FUD, or maybe he'll play Dutied and FE and God. Something like Dutied, 26 points, seems okay. FUD seems okay.
I generally don't like to fish on boards where it's hard to bingo, and even if you do bingo, your score is going to be weak. Which would lead me to believe that maybe Dutied is better than fishing, but it's probably pretty close.
I hear you. That makes total sense. I definitely think that I would feel a lot better about fishing on this board if I had an S, right? Yep. That's definitely the spot. Pluralizing Gov. David Whitley is busting my chops about saying Chi for Chi, but Fey instead for FE. Yes, very inconsistent, I admit. So, yeah, I'll try to pronounce more words as opposed to the phonetic spellings of the two-letter words. I would think in my priority here, if I'm Evan, is let's get my hands on an S before I start fishing a ton.
Yeah, you could just play duty, blow up the rack, and try to draw an S that way.
And score decently well while we're at it, too.
Yeah, 26 instead of 9. Big difference.
And he is going to play Dude.
Okay, kind of a middle ground between the two options.
Yeah, middle ground. He keeps a solid leave, RIT. He's going to hope for an E to pair with it and score decently well. Seems okay. I would probably go for Dutied here again just because the solid leave, again, doesn't really help you too much until you can get that S. I guess maybe if he draws an E, he's got a chance of hitting the D of Dude. But yeah, so now back to Dave. He's going to have a tough choice of his own. So, yeah, what to do here? Odia, is that what he's thinking about doing? He has OEA lined up on his rack. He could play that through the D and set up another place for himself to end a bingo in an S. But look at what Evan's drawn. Pretty nice.
Very nice.
Nice pick to that RIT, ELKS, kilters, curdles. So we're going to see Evan bingo first, which is kind of surprising given that Dave drew that first S.
I'm going to guess Dave plays Elodia through the D. That feels like his style, just kind of swing things wide open and go for an aggressive move next turn.
Interesting. Elodia scoring 16 points as opposed to just 10 for Odia, but you give up both E's in the process. Tricky. I feel like I still kind of prefer Odia here just because keeping that E is so valuable. You hate to get into those situations where you use all of the E's on your rack, even though it's fair not to worry too much. There's so many of them in the set, but sometimes you go through these long droughts and you wish you wouldn't have spent both of them or however many of them that you had when you had them. So close. I could see Elodia being just fine. I think I would probably play Odia here. Is he considering playing Oos underneath there? I'm not sure I like that with how important the S is. Okay, there we go. We see Odia come down. I like it. Not a ton of points, but let's just see what Dave draws.
Yeah.
As Evan's going to bingo, and Dave kind of needs to draw one to stay even, and he did not, to say the least.
Ooh.
Q, I mean, that's pretty bad. Duplicating his L and O and with a Q to go with it. That's among the worst draws you could get there. So things not going as Dave would hope.
As usual, Delvar in the chat saying the game's over already.
Yeah, GG. This is a GG. Interesting question, though. Where to bingo here, right? So you can bingo in this spot, Kilters, that scores 81 points. You could play with, on the other side of the board, making So off of the O of Odia for 2 fewer points. That's a much easier lane to hit, right? You can end in a D, you can end in a T, you can end in a lot of stuff, whereas the Govs lane can only be an S. Is there any defensive merit to sacrificing 2 points and playing on the left side of the board instead?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think there's a little tiny bit of merit, but also a little tiny point sacrifice, so comes out about even. And Dave's just going to exchange. Can't blame him at all for that.
Yeah, very, very quick. Quick on the exchange. Yeah, I feel like my instinct is telling me I would probably play for 2 points less on the left side of the board. Not only is it a little bit better positionally, but look at these nice letters of Kilters that are just all sitting right out there, right? Like they're a lot easier to hit than if you were to play on that left side of the board. So whatever, it's not a big deal. Do we think there's any chance that Dave should have just plopped his Q down there alongside the I? Is that worth it for 21 points?
I kind of hate it. The leave's not great, and also that Q kind of blocks up a lot of stuff you need to not block up.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm swayed by that. So
also, Dave is not a bingo. He's drawn Selenian through that L.
Very nice. That's going to be huge when he gets that down. Is Evan going to figure out a way to block that? I put the score in wrong here. It was actually kilters, not curdles. Okay. So what's he going to come up with? Radii.
Oh, radii blocks it. Yep, nice job.
That gets it done. Blocking Selenian. Nice play by Evan. That's definitely a good idea. Sort of undoing the sort of not really mistake. I'm not going to call it a mistake, but just undoing the openness of kilters from the previous turn.
Yeah. And you see Dave frowning there. We all know why. He's gone
That's
from bingling to
yeah.
fishing again.
Seeing him frowning, I don't know. I mean, I feel like his default expression is somewhat of a glum focused look on his face there. Not a lot of emotion, but yeah, I do feel a little bit of sadness emanating from him there. And he has no idea how sad he needs to be because Evan has just drawn pretty good stuff there.
Attaboy, nice draw.
So maybe David Eldar was onto something to call the game decided after kilters there. It's a GG situation. Any nines? Yeah, there's gotta be.
Oh yeah, something ending in LITY.
Oh, great point. Like atonality, is that a word?
Oh, nice job. Yeah, totally good.
Hey, check me out. I actually found that without Quackle. Let me see. Yeah, atonality has to be through L-I. Oh, mortality as well. Sidewinder pointing out. Nice.
Dave is certainly going to be feeling his in a minute.
Nice. Yeah, this game going squirrely quickly for Dave. I guess there's a chance maybe if he's able to sort of balance his rack and draw a bingo immediately after Evan's eventual bingo here, he's going to bingo. I would love to see some cool play here for Evan. And I was saying earlier that Evan is really, really good with the blank bingos. I would definitely imagine him more than capable of finding something like mortality or atonality if he decides to play there. Maybe he just wants to, throaty. Why not just play throaty and yo? That's got to be better anyway.
Yeah, we're attaboy. Yeah, there's stuff.
So we'll see some nice bingo. Probably that puts the Y alongside the O of Odia. And Dave is going to have to bingo early and often after that to keep pace because he's already down a ton. And, okay, seems reasonable. ENE for 16. Opens up a little bit of a lane for himself. But let's see if Evan's thought of what he wants to play quickly. And he probably is playing throaty. Yep. Not too many other plays. There's 3 plays that score 85 points here. Those are throaty, Tantani, and outstay. So I don't know. This seems all right. I guess that O there, maybe there's a way to play there without making the big Z spot or something, but this is a very minor thing. 227-41, the score now. So Dave
is showing 2 vowels.
2 vowels. Just
and the frown is just getting bigger and bigger on his face now.
Yeah, that looks. I feel like I have that face in games like this. I do that like sort of. I don't know what do I even call that? Like a what animal has a face like that? A duck? Something?
Yeah, there's something. I'm blanking. There's something like that.
Chat, what do you guys think? What animal looks like Dave Wiegand's jawline right now? What animal?
Like a platypus, maybe? No.
Platypus, yeah, maybe a platypus face. Something like that. He's going full platypus. At least Evan's rack is pretty bad itself, so maybe if he can just start to get his rack in order. Oh boy, he's going for it. Why not, right? So again, this is something where I was talking about this with Evans during the break, but I'm not sure if we mentioned it on the broadcast, right? You can see that Dave Wiegand has tied his previous game. So the implications for that we should break down, right? So normally in our tournament Scrabble world, the tiebreaker between players with the same number of wins is the cumulative margin of victory. But when there's a tie, that throws everything out of whack. For Dave Wiegand, there's so few ties in Scrabble. It happens very rarely, like once in every 100+ games, that Dave is almost guaranteed that no one is ever going to have the same win total as he does. So he no longer has to worry about point spread. That could free him up to play really crazily. He could just be playing absolutely wild for the rest of this game, trying to give himself any chance of winning. And it'll change a little bit of his thinking there. So might see more triple lanes open, that type of thing. Just throwing that out there. And does that make sense to you, Evans? Maybe he'll adjust a little bit.
For sure. I also want to point out that technically the Coco rating system does use spread, so this matters for rating. But Dave is the top player in North America by a mile, so he's got rating points to burn. He can just, light him on fire. Who cares? Yeah,
true. And I don't think a player with Dave's resume or pedigree, this is somebody whose accomplishments list in Scrabble is just a mile long. I mean, as far as rating, obviously there are some events that require rating to qualify for. And if that's true, maybe you care a little. But Dave's probably far beyond that at this point anyway. And there's a reason he's the top rated player by a mile. And he has historically, he's been the top rated player by a mile in several other rating systems as well at various points. And that's for very good reason.
To be clear, I was kidding about the rating thing. I don't think he cares one bit.
Oh yeah, no. I totally detected that. I was just, adding, just for extra context. For sure, he's,
making sure the audience is aware of that as well. I'm not serious.
Gotcha. So yeah, this is the accurate score, 251 to 055. That is actually the score. Evan picked up the X and the Z, which if you're trying to bingo, you don't necessarily want to see those tiles, but Evan doesn't need to bingo anymore. He's going to plop his Z down alongside Throaty and just hammer that spot. So things looking very, very good for Evan Berofsky here. In fact, it's kind of funny. Evan just got sort of lifted of 150, odd points of spread by Erickson Smith, and Scrabble has a funny way of sort of balancing things out, but usually in the long run, but this time in the short run, as Evan is clearly cruising towards getting those points back and more. But he's got to be careful. Dave Wiegand will do his best to get, somehow wind his way back into this game. What's he going to do now, though? Maybe he's just going to play YES alongside Throaty and set up his E.
Oh, there you go. Not bad.
Or wait, he would be using his E, but just scoring nicely and also blocking the Z that Evan has. Is that what he's considering here?
Very well could be.
Oh, he could also play YES alongside Radii for a pretty good score. So not sure which way he's going to go here. Certainly a grim situation.
Yeah, so 32 points for YES on the right side, 31 for YES on the right. Normally, I would say you need to keep scoring to stay within striking distance, but in this case, he's down by so much. I'm not really sure what he's playing for. You need something miraculous to happen. That's all I know.
Yeah, at this point, this is really beyond. If you're down 150, that's definitely you can wage a furious comeback. But just 200 feels like you've reached that point where it's going to be tough, very tough, to get back into this thing and even make it respectable. But all right, here we go. The frown on Dave's face sort of deepening as he plays this, and it's only going to get worse as he gets hit, probably with Zex for a bazillion points alongside there.
Terrible.
I don't necessarily disagree with the instinct to play there. You got to make some volatile spots and hope that Evan can't do much with it. But Zex in response here is going to score 78 points. Easily as good as a bingo here. And it was already trouble. But
the score is going to be 329 to 86.
Now it's just become kind of an exercise in How many points can an incredibly good Scrabble player lose a game of Scrabble by? Look at them laugh. So look at that. You see them laughing. Both of these guys have been around long enough to know that this is the sort of thing that happens sometimes. And Evan is on the winning end of it now. Another time he might be on the losing end in this same matchup. And that's just the way it goes. But the score now 329 to 86. That's pretty emphatic there. So over back to Dave, who, even an unfocused Dave is going to be pretty good at finding his good plays here. So, sorry, Evans, cut you up there.
I was just going to say that Dave's drawn badly again.
Yeah. Muffin with Tentacle says, I still have a good feeling about Dave this game. Love that optimism. The eternal optimist, Muffin with Tentacle, of course. I don't know. I got a feeling in my bones that Dave can make this comeback here.
Not to rain on your parade, but I believe Evan has another bingo. Who could spot it? Not an obvious one. Oh my
God. Another bingo. Jeez.
Yep. We got it in chat, anointing through the TI.
Very nice.
We were just saying prior to this game that if there's going to be some cool 9 played in this tournament, these are the 2 guys you want to have on stream.
Yeah, I fully expect that to happen. The only reason we wouldn't see a Rointing here is that Evan, with this level of a blowout in progress, is potentially, I know that, it's easy to say, well, I'm going to stay focused no matter what game situation comes my way, but we're all human beings, and the situation here with Evan being up well over 200 points early on here, he might take his foot off the gas and not worry so much about finding every last, 9-letter word or something like that. That being said, I fully expect him to find a Rointing.
You could look at it the other way and be like, when you have a really awesome game going and you're scoring tons of points and playing lots of cool words, you want to just kind of ride that momentum and score even more points and play even more cool words.
Good point. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
True. Yeah, you're feeling good. That could be true. You're feeling good. You have flow. You've got 329 points against Dave Wiegand. You're feeling your mojo. Maybe that makes you likelier to see it.
Yeah, I think typically the player that's up by 200 plays a lot better than the player that's down by 200, because that person's just demoralized and has stopped caring, and
True. There's something to that. It's a good point, Evans. That's true. It hasn't come down yet. This is the sort of play where if you saw it, it seems like it would be on the board as soon as you see it. So the longer we go, the more I suspect maybe it's going to slip past Evan here. Best suggests in the chat he might also find it and have sympathy for Dave. If you want sympathy, stay home and watch Scrabble on Twitch. Don't step into the arena and play with these guys, because they're coming for blood. These 2 guys, look at the facial expressions on both of them and tell me that you don't see the eyes of a monster.
I'm pretty sure all I see in Dave's eyes is, I want a beer right now.
Well, he will be able to go get that. That's true. Yeah, I mean, functionally, Dave at 6.5 in the loss column, losing this game again, moving him up to 7.5. Typically, to win this event, you pretty much have to go 14-6 at minimum. Usually it's going to be a 15-5 will lock it up. So actually, given the parity at the top of the Collins division right now, it might be the case that, we've got a bunch of people at, only Erickson Smith is at 11-4. So maybe 15-5 is not going to be required just because everybody is so bunched up. Maybe it would be only 14-6 or, something like that. I can't imagine 13-7 being enough. I think 14-6 feels like the likely record that the winner's going to have. But either way, another loss for Dave Wiegand is pretty much going to put him out of the running for that. As we see Nar go down for Evan there. So too bad we don't get to see the cool play, but it's certainly not going to matter much.
It's a great point about the standings being tight. They're getting even tighter every round. I mean, we saw last round that Evan here lost to Erickson Smith. Also, Conrad did lose his game against Austin Shin as well. So the standings right now are Erickson at 11, Conrad and Evan at 10, and then Austin and Rob Rubinski at 9. So it's 3 guys all within 2 games of each other, and none of them have blowing away the field incredible records or anything.
Very, very packed, tightly packed at that top level for sure. And it makes total sense because all of those players are fantastic Scrabble players. Very, very difficult for any one of them to sort of break free when so many good players are right there to sort of keep you back in the pack, chase you down. So Ash goes down quickly for Dave. He had 2 S's, and he uses that nice H. If you are a U.S. English Scrabble player, that CH 2-letter word is so useful in the Collins lexicon. Really opens up a lot of possibilities with that C, which is normally ironclad. So Ash scores quite well. Back over to Evan now, and he has non-wife. Yeah, that's funny. It would actually play if that was a word underneath Dewey. But I do not suspect he's going to play that. Instead, he does play the opposite of non-wife, wifey. Pretty much the legit, literal opposite. And what's he thinking here? No, he's picking him up. Interesting. Wonder what he's. It seemed okay. Maybe he doesn't want to open the board and risk losing his lead. Just kidding. His lead is 220 points. He can manage it, I think. Another candidate play here would just be WOF, WOF at the top of the board, making Oka and Fid. I think maybe that scores roughly as well. Doesn't open anything at all. I guess maybe there are some hooks to Oka here, like Hoka, that he wouldn't want to create, but wifey seems totally fine to me.
Yep, totally. Don't think he's too worried about opening up the board.
Yeah, you can just have some fun with it at this point. So,
God, Dave's just throwing terribly still. This is incredible.
Yeah, pretty relentless here. Amazing. Look at that. The platypus coming back there. Thank you, David, for the update in the chat there. The Giants are up on the Vikings. Wow. A little bit of a closer game than this one, I have to say. But hey, there's been some great Scrabble played today. The last couple have sort of shown that, Scrabble has these types of games from time to time, but there have been some really, really closely contested games throughout this tournament. I have no doubt that tomorrow, when we tune in for 4 more games to close this thing out, we're going to see a little bit closer than this. This is really like a 1%er by far. This is rare to see, especially for players at Dave Wiegand's caliber. But hey, he might be about to bingo, Evans.
Yeah, he drew something. Look at that. Very exciting.
Pretty cool. So, yeah, definitely some stuff through the eye. I don't know. There's too much else. Definitely a lot of 7-letter words in Dave's rack, but nothing through the E. So
yeah, just boring old cointers for 68.
Yeah, is that it? That's not a play that's gonna set Dave ablaze with excitement. But
at this point, I think any bingo at all, any play more than 31 should excite Dave this game.
Yeah, he's going to be massively increasing his average score per play. So just for the record, Dave is at 152 points right now in the game. He has had, he exchanged on that turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 turns so far en route to his 152 point. This might be the lowest average point per turn that Dave's ever had, frankly.
It's even sadder if you just read the numbers one by one. Let me just do this. It's 15, 10, 0, 16, 14, 31, 13, 31, 22. He didn't score more than 16 until move 6.
I would say that given Dave's Scrabble abilities, he probably averages like 36 or 37 points per game normally.
Yeah.
So he hasn't had a single turn that would conform to his normal average in this game through 9 turns. That's pretty rare stuff.
Yeah, most turns are not even halfway there. It's crazy.
Well, he's having a good think here to see if he can come up with anything better than a 68-point bingo. There isn't anything available, and eventually he's going to put down one of those bingos through the eye. What that is, it doesn't really matter. So we'll see.
Question: has Dave played perfectly? Like, I can't think of a single mistake he's made.
There was some idea that maybe on his exchange he should have kept another consonant.
ELS is better than ES. That's probably fair.
David Eldar noted maybe you keep ELS on the exchange. I mean, if that's your biggest mistake, you're doing pretty good. Other than that, I don't really have quibble with anything.
Yeah. Oh wow, jet plane pointed out in chat. That is not a valid word, but a cool find.
Wow, yeah, that's great natural anagramming to see that. Of course, for whatever reason, it's not in the dictionary. It seems pretty plausible.
Try that on Dave Wiegand, and your phony will leave the board like a jet plane.
That's true. It will sail right off, fly right off. So yeah, corniest. We might see corniest. No, we're going to see counters. That is one of the 68 pointers here. So grudgingly, Dave plays that here, and he has cut the deficit to 190 points. So I'm sure he's rejoicing.
All right, 4 more bingos. Let's go.
There are 9 tiles in the bag for Dave. The first 2 tiles he looks at are QB, which is hilarious. He did get a U to go with it, so that's nice, I suppose. So, yeah, will Dave get to 300 this game? I don't know. I like his chances of getting there. If he can just get like 3 more turns. He does have QBAP on his rack, the legendary word that I played in a blindfolded Scrabble game against, I don't remember, I think it was the Truth Main, Emmett Brasowski. I thought I made a great play, and that was a pretty good clip where I played QBAP and then celebrated with my blindfold on, only to have it challenged off immediately. But Dave's not going to play that. So what to do if you're Evan? You just want to play your J somewhere. You could play Taj in the lower corner. Jarp looks fine too. Seems fine.
Yep, seems solid. So I was out of curiosity just looking up what is Dave Wiegand's lowest scoring game ever. And it turns out that in round 10 of the 2019 World Championship, he had a game against none other than Nigel Richards, where Dave scored only 263. So it looks like Dave is on pace to just barely survive and not have his worst game ever. I think he's going to pass 263.
I mean, why? How am I somehow not surprised that to add to Nigel's, laundry list of accomplishments, holding Dave Wiegand to his lowest score ever would be on the list? Why does it not surprise me?
Why doesn't it?
I feel like Nigel also had a game against Adam Logan where the score was like 700 to 300 or something like that. Probably Adam Logan's worst loss ever. And between Dave and Adam, I'm pretty sure you got some combination of 1 and 2 of the best players on this continent. So,
not bad.
Pretty nice group. So after Jarp, let me give Evan his points. He's back up over 200 points ahead. Dave appears to be wishing for a place to play Quap. I don't think he has a place that makes any sense to play. Yeah. I don't know. Not too many easy places to play the Q here, in fact. It's certainly tempting to play alongside the J of Jarp here, even if you can't use the Q in the process. Shout out to the folks defining some great words in the chat there. I've seen a few incredible ones.
Hook like Andy. Wow.
Pretty great. Oh boy, the auto mod is going ham with this last one. Nice. Haven't heard that before. Dave plays mobs. That was a pretty good play for him, Evans. I don't know if you
I like it a lot.
Better.
If you look at the E in Kilters, there's a space to play QUA blank E for 34, whatever that consonant is. So you could draw like quare or quate or something with that leave of QUA.
Good point. Yeah, that E of Kilters for sure. He has drawn 2 letters that let it play there too.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that makes sense. All right, it's over to Evan. 3 tiles in the bag here, so we are winding our way to the end of this game. Dave Wiegand is going to be headed out to drink some beers for sure after this game.
Possibly the huge ass variety. Who knows? That's
true. And Evan, meanwhile, is going to certainly solidify his position a bit. If I guess it's all dependent on results from Erickson and Conrad. Conrad playing Austin Shin, Erickson Smith playing Rob Rubinski. So those results will determine how far in the standings Evan moves up as a result of this big win. It's definitely really nice that Evan's gotten a big chunk of spread here because he's going to pass people like Erickson.
Yeah.
So just what the doctor ordered for him.
I've been furiously refreshing the live coverage page looking for results from Erickson or Conrad, but nothing yet. I will keep you guys posted.
Nice.
Looks like Erickson is playing Rob Rubinski and Conrad is playing Austin Shin. So very tough matchups for both those guys.
There's just a lot of good Scrabble players. Do you ever wish that some of these, nerds would just chill a little bit and let you be good? I feel like that sometimes. Can't I be the best? Why does Dave Wiegand have to be so good?
Believe me, I've thought that many, many, many times over the years.
Yeah. Oh well.
I think I've
makes it
lost
challenging.
To Dave, I think I've probably lost about 300 games of Scrabble to Dave Wiegand in my life. it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, that must be amazing, right? Like you, Dave Wiegand, Conrad Bassett-Bouchard are basically effectively club mates, playing games of Scrabble together all the time. What does that do for your sort of interest in, maximizing your Scrabble ability, right? Like having those incredibly strong players in close proximity.
Yeah, I mean, I lived down the street from Dave for about 3 years between 2014 and 2017, and it is absolutely no coincidence that those were 3 of the strongest years of my Scrabble playing career. Like having him, we played once a week roughly, just a few games over some beers at a local pub, and it was just really, really good practice to play against him every week. I was motivated to keep studying harder because I wanted to compete against him at the highest level I could. Just the practice every week was just really good for keeping my Scrabble brain sharp on a regular basis. And it's just competitive. You want to compete with these guys and you want to do your best against them, whether it's Dave, Conrad, Pete Armstrong also lives there.
Yeah, another awesome player for sure. That's just has to be maybe the Scrabble hotbed in the United States right now, frankly. Pretty impressive.
I mean, Conrad and Dave and I have had this conversation. If you look at the whole world, I mean, it's I would say Singapore and Sydney and Portland. Those are the 3 cities I would look at.
Yeah, impressive stuff. There's just an incredible amount of talent in all those areas, but certainly in Portland, Oregon. So Dave ends up playing Quare. He draws the B out of the bag for a kind of why not one more weird rack for Dave? What's one more amidst the the chaos that has been this game, the rubble of this game for him. If not for the fact that he's already lost 6.5 games, I would just say, hey, it's one game, doesn't really matter. It does feel like, in his position, he probably felt like going into this game, he probably needed to win all of his games and get a little bit of help if he was going to win the event. So to lose in this fashion, certainly a disappointment. But hey, as you said, Evans, Dave has won this event 3 times prior, at least something like that. We can go back and look. you know, he's got a lot of trophies in that trophy case, and many of them from Crescent City.
As you mentioned earlier, he commandingly won the World Cup earlier, not earlier this year, in 2022, I should say. I was looking a few weeks ago at the stats from like all Coco tournaments since our founding in 2019, and Dave has won by far the most tournaments of anybody. I think he's won 6 tournaments, if I recall correctly.
And those tournaments typically are populated by just incredibly strong fields. So
yeah, like Conrad's at all of them, like players like Austin and yeah,
you're there. Yeah, it's a lot of you know, talent at those events. But Dave really is just a cut above. You know, I know this we look at the score, maybe you're just joining the stream, don't watch a lot of Scrabble on Twitch, and this is the first you've heard of Dave Wiegand, but he really has like the full set of tools in the toolbox. He's incredibly good with the words, maybe the best of anybody other than Nigel Richards. Incredibly precise with his play finding, really good at pre-endgame and endgame, just like a great endgame player. So precise, finding those good sequences. And there isn't really a skill he doesn't have. Historically, you might have said that he plays a little bit aggressive and doesn't have that gear to sort of go into defensive mode at times, but it seems like even that no longer is the case.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's changed that a lot over the years. I think he's a very good gear shifter in that way now.
And we're seeing a play from Evan. Looks like he's going to play Gnaw. That seems fine. You know, this is definitely a courtesy situation. Of course, though, I just want to point out that even though this game is a complete blowout in favor of Evan, he's going to be close. He's going to be very, very tightly packed with other players who have similar point spread that he does. So fighting in the end game for every little point of spread to make sure that you can win those tiebreakers against other people with the same win total. Erickson Smith, Conrad Bassett-Bouchard, they're all pretty tightly, you know, packed in the same area in tiebreaker. So it is important to try to focus in and play your best end game here if you're Evan. And in fact, Evan does not seem to have an outplay because Dave very cleverly blocks the play of Elite from the E of Rovin.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like a nice idea. Dave playing Blight instead. Good job by him to sort of buy himself one more turn, get a little extra score. And Telia, true. Telia.
Telia into the A and Quare. Yeah, nice.
To the A of Quare, yeah. So blocking both outs on one move, very, very nicely done. You could see Evan nodding his head saying, yeah, right, you got me. He probably thought, well, I have 2 outs, right? I can play Elite or Telia. So, yeah, it's a good point by Kev in the chat. Dave did well to hold Evan under 500 considering the start. That's kind of true. I mean, part of it is Evan stopped drawing quite as crazy good. But remember, the score of this game was 383 to 130. So pretty amazing. Yeah. A rointing too, as David Brown points out. So, Evan's got to think of what he's going to do. He can't go out. I think I hear, if I'm not mistaken, Evans, I think I hear right on time as this game's about to finish, I hear Baby in the background.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is no longer asleep, as you can tell.
But he made it so long. He made it through 4 games of Crescent City Cup Scrabble. So that's... Hey, kudos to this baby already helping the Scrabble community despite being, what did you say, 8 weeks old?
Yeah. Very, very good at sleeping through tournaments. It's a good skill to have.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty early to start, chipping into the Scrabble community. So, excellent.
We'll
All
get him
right.
like volunteering, doing like data entry or something when he's like 3.
It's like a prodigy of data entry or something. I'm sure. No, I'm sure. Other ambitions are maybe more
Whoa,
useful.
whoa! Somebody in the chat just said he'll win the NWL Light Division next year, and no, he will not. He might win the Collins Light Division, but there will be no NWL in this house. Don't you dare say that.
That's that's
I am deeply, deeply offended by that. I don't even know where to begin. Wow.
that's true. Nice. Yeah, this baby is a Collins baby for sure. This baby is going to be a Collins baby without question. As all right, we have reached the end of this game mercifully for Dave Wiegand. He's finally there. I haven't updated the score for a couple turns. Sorry about that. Final score 494 to 309. After the end game plays are all entered in. Sorry about that on my part, not entering those in. But yeah, all things considered, it doesn't somehow, it was so bad early on and seemed like it might get worse that this actually doesn't really feel as bad as it was somehow. It's almost a 200-point loss, but it seemed like it was headed towards like 300 or more. So yeah, not what Dave wanted. I'm sure the whole tournament so far is not exactly what Dave had hoped for. But again, it just goes to show that Scrabble is the type of game where even somebody at his caliber can have these tournaments. And frankly, as somebody that is looking up at him in the standings and in the sort of informal, skill standings that you assess other people to have, it is reassuring that there's enough luck in Scrabble that they can slow Dave down sometimes and give somebody else a chance, frankly.
Absolutely.
So good win for Evan for sure. And Evans, have you been continuing your spam refreshing and getting any other results there?
Yeah, a little bit of a news update there. So Conrad Bessabashard against Austin Shin in round 16 lost by 3 points, 413 to 410. Conrad comes up short against Austin.
Wow.
So Conrad's going to fall to 10-6. And that's going to leave him at least one game behind the leaders, as we know that Ericsson's got 11 wins or more. And Evan also has 11. So still waiting on that other game, which is Ericsson against Rob Urbinski.
I actually just did a refresh of my own, very successful rate of refreshing and getting that news, because I actually only refreshed once, and I see Rob defeated Ericsson in the previous game, 474 to 356. So that's gonna help Rob's chances to vault his way back into the mix. So it looks like Ericsson losing, he'll stay at 11. Evan winning, he'll move up to 11. And then it's going to be a complete logjam at 10 wins between Conrad, Rob Urbinski, and Austin Shin. So that is a lot of people all clumped up at the top. It's going to be exciting tomorrow to watch some of these guys go at it. Quick update. I know this is maybe an earmuffs moment for you, Evans, but in the NWL division, we got Josh Sokol, Joey Kravchik, and Jackson Smiley, 1, 2, 3. The top two guys there, Josh and Joey, with 12 wins apiece. So, wow, there you have it. Tomorrow we have 4 more games to finish this thing off. We're going to start off and continue to focus on the Collins division and see how that shakes out. Evans, thank you so much for joining me for commentary today. It's a real treat to do these games with you.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it.
Tomorrow, an extra treat is commentary from Jesse Day, perhaps the player from North America, even considering Dave Wiegand, with the most impressive resume overseas of any player from this country. So really excited to do some games with Jesse. But I think that's going to do it for us today. The players are going to go out, drink, stay up too late. I'm going to collapse into the fetal position pretty much immediately.
Hey, me too.
True. Yeah, you probably deserve it more than me with the newborn. But we'll be back tomorrow once again at 9:30 Central Time for 4 more games to close this thing out from the Crescent City Cup 2023 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow for 4 more games.